So of course you guys know I have been talking about making this video for a long time. You guys already see the title, so I'm not going to waste a lot of time. Of course, before I get into it, make sure to like, subscribe, turn the notification bell. You guys help me out a little bit, and without further ado, let's get right into this video. Now, of course, Kanye West has a ton of albums, but the question for today is, which one is his best? But first, I decided that I'm going to have to cut to a top 4. Because if I do every single one of Kanye's albums, this video is going to be 2 days long. So, my top 4, I chose My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, The Life of Pablo, Graduation, and The College Dropout. I chose these based on what people said. I chose these based on polls on my story. I chose these based on personal opinion. So, no doubt do I think that these are the top 4 for most people. If I don't have your top album on here, just hang in there, man. I know you like more than one Kanye album. I know everyone loves My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. A lot of people think that album's one of the best of all time. However, I'm going to go and get right into it. Now, of course, Graduation, I am going to put up first. Now, Graduation, my top 3 favorite songs, Flashing Lights, Can't Tell Me Nothing, and Stronger. Now, of course, I don't think this album is talked about near enough when it comes to Kanye West and his music. If you ask me, this is the one that really set him up, because we know Kanye went on an incredible run from 2010 all the way to 2016. I think this album set him up for this incredible run. Flashing Lights can even argue for being the best song in Kanye West history. Now, of course, for the album rating, I'm going to give it a 9.7 out of 10. Not a perfect score. I do think this album has a little bit of weaknesses. There are a couple of songs that I just don't feel. I'm just like, I'm going to skip that one, get to my next song. However, 9.7 is definitely a very strong rating. I love this album. One of the best ever created by Kanye. Now, of course, going to the next album, I have the College Dropout. My 3 favorite songs from that album, not even going to hesitate, Jesus Walks, Spaceship, and Breathe In, Breathe Out. Now, of course, this album changed the entire rap game at the time. This changed the beats, this changed the sound, this changed how people recorded themselves in the studio. This album changed everything for the rap game. It is the single most impactful album that Kanye has probably ever made when it comes to making a change in the industry. Super impactful. You can say this is one of the most influential hip-hop albums ever, and that's why I give it a 9.8 out of 10. I think it's slightly better than Graduation just because of the amount of impact it had, and also think the material might be a little bit better. Jesus Walks is, again, another one of Kanye's gems. It's one of his best songs of all time. I really enjoy it, so I'm going to put this album at a 9.8 out of 10. Now, of course, going to the next one, 2016, back when times were a lot more simple. The Life of Pablo. Now, my top 3 favorite songs, it was hard for me to choose a top 3 from this album, but Ultralight Beam, Fade, and Father Stretch My Hands ended up being the top 3. Again, this is a Kanye masterpiece. This very well, may be his best album, and maybe one of the best hip-hop albums of all time. Now, I did give this album a perfect 10 out of 10, and let me tell you why. I don't think there is a single quote, bad song on this album. There is no song that I go on this album and say, nah, I want to skip that one. Every single song is a complete hit on The Life of Pablo. I love this song. I love the albums. I just love everything about The Life of Pablo. I thought it was a huge big sort of comeback for Kanye because, of course, he had been a little bit quiet between that 2010 through 2016 range. Dropped a couple of albums, but they didn't really pop like this one. This album blew up. Perfect 10 out of 10. I loved it. However, going into the biggest album probably of Kanye's career, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. My 3 favorite songs on this album are Monster, Runaway, and So Appalled. Some of the most amazing features. This guy got the Avengers together to make this album. You heard Rick Ross, you heard Jay-Z, you heard Nicki Minaj. 3 of the biggest rap names just off the dome, just off the back of my head. Incredible album, not a single miss. Plus, Kanye actually made a movie for this album on YouTube. You guys should go check it out. It's called Runaway, which is ironically a title of the song on the album. I thought this album was amazing, and personally, I love My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. I just can't stop listening to it. I've listened to it ever since it came out, and I still catch myself listening to a lot of these songs to this day. My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is an amazing album. Again, another 10 out of 10. Kanye West, you are the first artist, and probably will be the only one for a while, that has 2 perfect scores on 2 separate albums. So congratulations to Kanye West. Little round of applause. But of course, what you're here for. Micah, what do you think is the best Kanye album? This was a tough decision, ladies and gentlemen, as you can imagine. However, I selected My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. It feels like Kanye West put his heart and soul into this music. This also has amazing features. Rick Ross, Jay-Z, Nicki, the list goes on. Also, Mike Dean and some others. Some of the best producers ever hopped on these albums to make these beats. Of course, it has a sort of movie on YouTube. If you ask me, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is the best hip-hop album of all time. I think it is the best hip-hop album ever dropped. Ever. In the history of music, I think this is the best hip-hop album of all time. I know some of you are going to say this guy is absolutely absurd and foolish. This is why 17-year-olds should not talk about music. But what I say to that is go listen to it for yourself and tell me that I'm wrong. I am assuring you that you are going to think the exact same thing after you are done listening. I promise you. But of course, that's going to end this video. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, turn notification bell. You guys help me out a little bit. Of course, without further ado, I wish you nothing but the best. Stay loved, stay blessed. I'm going to end this video. Thank you for watching.